Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to the Sikh Youth Show today. Today is a special show to give the Satsanga, the Sikh perspective, a youth perspective even, on the recent case of Bhai Balwant Singh Ji Rajoana. Recently, a lot of talk has been going on TV on both the channels, where the elders have mainly discussed their views and aired their views, and they've given their opinion. So I think it's only fair if the youth come on and actually tell the Sangat what they think, because the youth is going to be taking forward the Panth from now on. So that's why we're here. That's the main reason. So firstly, before we carry on, let me just introduce the panel that we have today. On my left, we've got Mantej Singh Ji from SWAT. And then we have Shamsher Singh from SOPW. Then we have Panji Sharnokar from West London. And then lastly, we've got Jaskirat Kaur as well. So, as I mentioned before, we're just here to give the views of the youth, what they think, whether Bhai Sahab has already declared where he stands, where his death sentence is concerned. So I'm just going to pass it on to Veer Mantej Singh Ji. So what do you think?
Firstly, मेरे ख्याल विच ये है कि आपां नूं रिस्पैक्ट करनी चाहिदी आ जो भाई बलवंत सिंह जी रजवाना साहब चाहुंदे आ, पर respecting his want that he wants to go ahead with the death penalty, I think we should still have a stand against the death penalty as a whole, because he spent 17 years in jail, and those can't be unaccounted for. What we seem to forget is there's countless other things that are in jail that have been in jail for countless amount of years. There's no kind of figures to put on it. Why? Because the Indian government just don't let us have those figures. They don't let us actually see who's actually put away, for what reasons they're being put away. As for Mr. Rajoana Saabji, obviously we're in a catch-22 situation where basically we want him to stay, but then we have to respect his wishes too, which is right, which is wrong. My personal opinion, I think it's his choice. At the end of the day, he does not want to put his hand in front, like a mangta, in front of the Indian government and say, "Meri jindagi di peek de do." Karke ਉਹਨਾਂ 'ਚ ਵੀ ਮਾਣ ਹੈਗਾ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਵੀ 17 ਸਾਲ ਜੇਲ੍ਹ 'ਚ ਕੱਟੇ ਆ, at the end of the day ਪਰਿਵਾਰ ਤੋਂ ਦੂਰ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਚੱਕਣ ਚੱਕਿਆ ਸੀਗਾ, ਐਂਡ ਉਹ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਪਏ ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਚੱਕਣ ਚੱਕਿਆ, ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਕੀਤਾ, ਹਾਂ ਮੈਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਲਈ ਕੀਤਾ, ਤਾਂ ਜੋ ਮੈਂ ਕੀਤਾ ਸਹੀ ਕੀਤਾ, ਮੈਂ ਗਲਤ ਨਹੀਂ ਕੀਤਾ. ਐਂਡ at the end of the day, that's what we believe in, right? ਸੱਚ. ਜੇ ਉਹ ਇੰਨੇ ਸੱਚੇ ਹੋ ਕੇ ਇੰਨੀ ਕੁਰਬਾਨੀ ਦੇ ਸਕਦੇ ਆ, ਤਾਂ who are we to actually stop him?
So are we saying like ਜਿੱਦਾਂ how Guru Gobind Singh Ji, just before he went to Machi out of the jungle, he said I'm not going anywhere, this is what I'm going to do, I'm Shahidi Pauni. But right. Then it was the Panj Pyare and the Sangat that stopped him. Yeah, that's right. So it's basically what you're saying is, even though we have to respect his wishes, we've got some responsibility on ourselves as well.
Sadi responsibility, just because onane je ho phansi chad gaye, ਇੱਥੇ ਇਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਹੈ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਿੱਖ ਕੌਮ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਬਸ ਇੱਥੇ ਬਸ ਮੁੱਕ ਗਈ ਸਾਡੀ ਰਿਸਪੌਂਸਿਬਿਲਿਟੀ ਇੱਥੋਂ ਸ਼ੁਰੂ ਹੁੰਦੀ ਆ. ਸਾਡਾ ਫਰਜ਼ ਇਹ ਬਣਦਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਖੜੇ ਹੋਈਏ, ਸਟੈਂਡ ਕਰੀਏ, ਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹੀਏ ਦੇਖੋ ਜੀ ਅਨਫ ਇਨਫ, ਜੋ ਸਿੱਖਾਂ ਨਾਲ ਵਾਪਰੀ ਆ ਵਾਪਰ ਚੁੱਕੀ ਆ, ਹੁਣ ਬਸ ਸਾਡੀ ਇੱਥੇ ਲੀਕ ਹੋਣ ਬੈ ਗਈ ਆ. We need to know reasons why things are being treated and mistreated the way they are in India. कोई reason, कोई वजह होनी चाहिए.
I think SOPW, they're doing a lot of work. A lot of you might be aware of this already, because they've done a few shows on the channels before this anyway. They've done a lot of work with the prisoners in India, so they know the ins and outs of how the legal system works and how it's supposed to be working and how it's actually working differently for the Sikhs. So Bhai Sahib's probably going to be able to tell you a bit more, because he's probably the best person on the panel. So Bhai Sahib, just let us know how this case is different to maybe Bhai Sahib Buller's case, or how it's different to the rest of the cases that are not for Sikhs. So just a bit more clarification.
Firstly, like you said, the Indian legal system is supposed to work, but it doesn't, and it doesn't work when it comes to Sikhs. By Balwant Singh's case is different from Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar's case in the fact that Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar is innocent of the allegations that have been levelled against him. In his case, Amnesty International has raised concerns that he wasn't given a fair trial. 133 eyewitnesses didn't identify Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar as the person who had carried out the bombing that he was alleged to have carried out. His confession was extracted under torture. Torture was also used by Balwant Singh's case, but the main difference is that Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar is locked up in litigation for things that he hasn't done and for things that there are no witnesses against him. You know, it's a totally fabricated case, and it sounds hard to believe that living in the UK that somebody could be in jail for over 15 years, 20 years, and have a case against them that is totally fabricated. But that's what the Devinderpal Singh Pullar is in jail for.
Well, sorry, Baji, sorry to interrupt. So, for the viewers that are probably not non-Sikhs, because we know a lot of non-Sikhs watch this channel as well, Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar didn't do anything. He was framed in the whole thing. Whereas by Balwant Singh, what has he done? And if those allegations are true, and he's admitted to them, so they would be thinking, well, if he's done something wrong, why shouldn't he be hanged?
Like you said, the main difference between Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar and Balwant Singh is Balwant Singh was arrested in connection with the assassination of Chief Minister Beyant Singh. This is an allegation that Balwant Singh has never denied. He said that he has committed these actions, and he's committed them because of the political situation, the civil situation in Punjab at that time, where Sikhs were, we've seen from 1984 when the holiest Sikh shrine, Sri Harmandir Sahib, also known as the Golden Temple, was attacked by Indian Army, and from that period in 84, from before then, from 47, there was injustice against Sikhs. Sikhs launched several peaceful protests and demonstrations. They tried to make resolutions with the government, failed negotiations. They all led up to an attack in 1984, and from the 80s onwards up until the 90s, there was a period in Punjab where there was mass killings, there was torture, there was rape, there was people like Sumit Saini and KPS Gill, known as the Butcher of Punjab, who were operating freely in Punjab, killing people. There was operations like Operation Woodrose, where Sikh youngsters between the ages of 13 and 35 were abducted from their homes and killed. There was extrajudicial killings, there was deaths in custody. I mean, there was widespread human rights allegations. These are things that human rights organizations have not been allowed to investigate because they're banned from investigating in Punjab. So this was a time of great civil unrest in India, and a time of great injustice for Sikhs. Balwant Singh was a police officer who hatched a plot to assassinate Chief Minister Beyant Singh, because he believed that there was no justice for Sikhs in India. And as you said before, with the Indian legal system, that's still demonstrated. There is no justice for Sikhs in India. What you mentioned before about the contradictions. And if we look at the case, the application of the death sentence in the case of Balwant Singh, there was a ruling a few years before this where a Supreme Court justice said that the death sentence should only be applied in the rarest of rare cases. He never clarified what that means exactly, but if you look at the case of Kishori Lal, he was a butcher in Talokpuri during the 1984 Sikh genocide that took place. The state-sponsored killings where numerous politicians have been alleged to be involved with this. So it's a matter which is highly contentious and very emotional for Sikhs. Kishori Lal was alleged to have butchered several Sikhs. He was given, I think it was more than 5, I think it was something like 7 death sentences. He was recently released. I think he served just over 10-15 years in prison, and he was released for that. And then there was the case in 1983, going a bit back, of some Naxalites, which is like a rebel faction which have different political views than the rest of India. They killed 17 police officers, they were spared the death sentence. Recently, we've seen the case of the Mumbai terror attacks, which was a very high-profile terrorist acts that were inflicted upon civilians by Islamic radicals, and they were spared the death sentence. So we've seen in so many other cases where the death sentence could have been applied, but it wasn't. And some people that were on death sentence have been let out. But with Sikhs, it's always the case that Professor Devinderpal Singh Pullar and Sikhs like Balwant Singh, they're not involved in killing of civilians. They're not involved in terrorist activities targeting civilian populations. And they were fighting a civil war, an undeclared war that the Indian state elements within the state launched against the Sikh population. And they have been denied justice on numerous occasions.
Yeah. So basically, so what we're here for today is, even though we have to respect Bhai Sahib's wishes, we need to recognize our responsibility and fight against injustice. That's what we're saying. Is if there is a rule if there's one rule for Sikhs, that should be applied across the board, or or vice versa. If there's a different rule for someone else who's not a Sikh, then the same rule should apply. But at the moment, as you said, it's not happening. So just to talk a little bit about Bhai Sahib's character, what he's like, is obviously we don't know for the past 17 years what he's done within jails, and people that have gone to see him, you can only hear stories from him. But just by small events that we've seen just since he's come out in the limelight as such, what he said, if his will, he hasn't given any property or anything. He's donated his eyes. He's donated his eyes to a Ragi, Bhai Sukhwinder Singh, I believe his name is, of Darbar Sahib, simply because the fact that he hasn't been able to see darshan nahi kite Maharaj de 17 saal ho gaye. That's what he wants. He wants his eyes to look at Maharaj, and our Sochani is not there anymore. Even after dying, if that happens, if it goes ahead, he's still going to be looking at Maharaj. That's what his wish is. So how great is that soul? So that's what we need to. What we're trying to say here is we need to respect what his wishes are. But if he was part of the Panth outside of jails, living with us, how great would that be? If he was imagine if he was sitting here right now, speaking to us, to the wider Sangat, that would be a lot better than us having to let Bhai Sahib go without even trying to do something about it. So we just gotta see both sides as such. We need to respect his wishes as well, because if it does come down to it, then we need to show that the Panth is going to be staying in Chardi Kala as well. But souls as such, when they spill their blood, a revolution does start. So even in that case, something will happen, but we need to do our bit. I think what it is, from a lot of youth Jathebandiyan and everybody, a lot of other Jathebandiyan across the whole of UK and the world, I should say, they've organised a lot of jobs, conferences. But what we're doing here in UK, I'd like Shana Kaur Penji to just let you guys know, because there's a big protest, I believe, tomorrow, which Penji knows a little bit more about. So she's just going to let the Sangat know.
We've organised a demonstration tomorrow at the Indian Embassy in London. It's going to be youth speakers and speakers in English predominantly. We're trying to take emphasis off of the jikare and the repetitive slogans and things like that. We're trying to educate the people around us as well, because we have these demonstrations quite regularly, and we've noticed that the people watching, the observers, don't understand why we're there, and it marginalises us in the media as well, and in our own community as well, because people just think that we're radicals or extremists who are asking for things that aren't possible. So we're trying to make things possible, and we really encourage the youth to attend and even take part as well.
So what's the timings? And
it's 12 o'clock until officially 4 o'clock, but we can negotiate that when we're there.
Where is it?
And it'll be outside the Indian Embassy in Holborn, Aldwych.
Okay. So if someone does need the directions, I'm sure if you just type in Indian High Commission on Google, you should be able to get the address. The timings are 12 to 4. It's a youth protest. I believe the main aim is to educate the non-Sikhs that are going to be there. Because I remember speaking to one of the police officers that work in that area, and there was my question was, so did it really make a difference? And the answer was, the protests like these happen every day. To us, it's nothing. So if the police don't even know why we're there, how can we educate the rest of the country? Exactly. So I think it's a very, very good opportunity for the youth to get on a platform and just let the world know why we're there. Because a lot of the times the youth actually get a bad press when we do a lot of good stuff as well, and I think it's only fair that the world recognises it. Benji, what's your view on Bhai Sahib's Jeevan as such, and what's your personal stand on his death row?
Before I touch on Bhai Sahib's Jeevan and what my views are on Bhai Sahib Ji, I would just like to reinforce with the Sangat out there, if you are intending to go to this protest tomorrow, just to bear in mind, be sensible. We don't want to start riots or anything. We want to be really smart. Get your information, just, look around you, educate the people. Like Baji said and Benji said, it's all about educating the people who don't understand what's going on with the Sikh Panth. I think it's about time we started using our, our intelligence, our technology, our media. We've got so many facilities to do so. We can do this in a way which really speaks out to the people who, look at us. They don't want to see us as terrorists. However, if we act like idiots and we don't use our heads, we will be seen not providing the right information and educating our fellow, Sangat out there, even if they are not Panthic. Bhai Sahib's Jeevan, can't really say much because I don't really know what Bhai Sahib Ji probably went through in prison. However, my understanding is he did write lots of letters, and he was very educated in the sense he didn't just sit in the prison. And unfortunately, not a lot of us can understand or put ourselves in that position to understand what it's like to live in those conditions day in, day out, and what you see and what you feel. We have to kind of almost imagine why Bhai Sahib's made this decision. Maybe he's made this decision because he doesn't want to be tortured and live in a prison where he doesn't get heard and he doesn't feel what other people are seeing. Like you said, he hasn't seen Mara's Surup and he wants to donate his eyes. I think that's really powerful. I think that sends out a message in itself that, if we can put ourselves in his place, what would we be feeling? How would we feel? It's not just Bhai Sahib. We have to remember there's other prisoners as well. I mean, we forget that we've got bibis in prisons as well, and we talk about the Singhs a lot, but we forget there are Singhaniya who probably gave so much of their qurbani. They've probably given birth to children and not seen them after giving birth, or there's bibiyan who also haven't seen their husbands or probably taken and tortured. We can only imagine the kind of torture that these bibiyan go through. However, Balwant Singh is a very unique case. Bhai Sahib has made this decision and we should honour it and we should respect it. However, it doesn't mean that we can't openly discuss and appeal or raise awareness within our own community and with the wider community. Bhai Sahib would want us to educate the Panth, and hopefully if we're talking about a revolution, we shouldn't just think, okay, all guns blazing. We should be thinking, let's do this the legal way, the legit way, get people listening to what we have to say, and hopefully we can make some progress with it.
I think Benji's made a very valid point. A person whose avastha is so high that all they care about is seeing Maharaj because they've missed Maharaj all those years. This is my personal view. The person who sends a letter from jail after spending 17 years, and it starts off with Mera mujh mein kuch nahi, jo kuch hai so tera, and then he does it as well. He puts it in practice and he does it practically. As far as I'm concerned, whether Bhai Sahib goes ahead, whether the hanging goes ahead or not, this is going to be a turning point for the Sikh Panth, because a soul like that, it is not going to go to waste. That's what I personally think. So I think there are people that respect his wishes completely, and they're just going to go with the Pana of Akal Purkh. and they're going to do as much bhakti as possible, and all the lekha is going to go towards Bhai Sahib, because there's loads of programs across the country where the youth, the elders, everybody's come together. They've organized 12-hour Chaupai Sahib jobs. There's a Khand Path going on in pretty much every single Gurdwara in the UK that we know of. So what is happening in West London at the moment? Because that's the main reason. What are we doing? So Benji, a little bit more. Just let us know what's going on in Southall, especially if there is anything going on.
I'm probably not the right person to explain the Nagar Kirtan.
As you know, this weekend is Southall Nagar Kirtan.
Yeah.
It's probably one of the hugest events, I think, for the Sikhs when it comes to UK, I think.
Yeah, I think Southall Nagar Kirtan is probably the biggest Nagar Kirtan.
But as a whole, I think it's the biggest event for Sikhs. Yeah. I think we need to dedicate this Nagar Kirtan to by Balwant Singh Rajoana and all the other Singhs that are in jail, that are suffering the consequences for standing up for righteousness. Hear what I said, they're suffering the consequences for righteousness. Is that the human way? Not really. What we need to see is this, ekta honi chahiye. We need to have togetherness. Put all your jagade chamele to one side. Sirf eh chatta karo, tusi Sikh ha. Eh chatta karo, yeah. Paam tusi mone ha, dastar wale ha. Apne vichon ਈਰਖਾ ਕੱਢੋ, ਆਪਣੇ ਵਿੱਚੋਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿੰਨੀ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੀ ਜ਼ਹਿਰ ਆ ਉਹ ਸਾਰੀ ਕੱਢੋ, ਕਰਕੇ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਆ ਉਹ ਮਿਠਾਸ ਦੀ ਬੋਲੀ ਆ, ਪਿਆਰ ਦੀ ਬੋਲੀ ਆ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਇਸ ਬੋਲੀ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਆ, ਅਸੀਂ ਆਪਣੇ ਗੁਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਮਝਦੇ ਆ, ਦੈਨ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਏਕਤਾ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ, ਯੂਨਿਟੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਚਾਹੀਦੀ ਆ। ਆਈ ਥਿੰਕ ਦਿਸ ਨਗਰ ਕੀਰਤਨ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਹਮਾ ਕੇ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਉਣਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਮਾਈ ਭਾਈ, ਭਾਵੇਂ ਤੁਸੀਂ 2 ਮੀਟਰ ਕਦਮ ਤੁਰੋ ਤਾਂ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਫਿਰ ਬੈਠਣਾ ਪਵੇ, ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਬਾਹਰ ਆਵੋ, ਸਪੋਰਟ ਦਿਖਾਓ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਹਾਂ, ਦਿਖਾਓ ਕਿ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਹਾਂ, ਤਾਂ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਕੋਈ ਦਰਾਰ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗੀ। ਇਹ ਦਿਖਾਓ ਕਿ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਸ਼ਹੀਦੀਆਂ ਪਾਈਆਂ ਗਈਆਂ ਤਾਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਪੈਣ ਲੱਗੀਆਂ ਇਹ ਵੇਸਟੇਜ ਨਹੀਂ ਜਾਣੀ। Yeah, because it's a very, 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 very important day. Also, we're saying ਕਿ ਸਾਰੇ ਕੇਸਰੀ ਬਣ ਕੇ ਆਓ, ਦਸਤਾਰਾਂ ਪੱਟ ਕੇ ਚੁੰਨੀਆਂ। ਸਾਡੇ ਵੱਲੋਂ SWAT ਟੀਮ ਤੇ SOPW ਟੀਮ ਵੱਲੋਂ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ orange armbands ਵਰਤਾਉਣੀਆਂ। ਉੱਥੇ ਪਾਰਕ ਹੈ ਆਪਣੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਹੈਵਲੌਕ ਰੋਡ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇ ਲਾਗੇ ਗਿਲ ਕੈਮਿਸਟ ਹੈਗੇ, ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਆ। ਅਸੀਂ ਉੱਥੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਹੋਵਾਂਗੇ, ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ, ਅਤੇ ਆਲਸੋ ਪਾਰਕ ਐਵਨਿਊ ਗੁਰਦੁਆਰੇ ਦੇਵਾਂਗੇ। ਅਤੇ ਸਾਡੀ SWAT ਦੀ ਵੈਨ ਵੀ ਹੋਣੀ ਹੈ ਪ੍ਰੋਸੈਸ਼ਨ ਵਿੱਚ, ਉਹਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਵੀ ਥਰੂ ਆਊਟ ਅਸੀਂ orange armbands ਦੇਣੀਆਂ। ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਉਹ ਪਾਵੋ, to raise awareness, ਕਰਕੇ ਬਹੁਤੇ ਲੋਕਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਪਤਾ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ। ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਬੰਦਾ ਤੁਹਾਨੂੰ ਪੁੱਛ ਲੈਂਦਾ ਵੀ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਬਾਂਹ 'ਤੇ ਆ ਸੰਤਰੀ ਕੱਪੜਾ ਕਿਉਂ ਪਾਇਆ। ਮੈਨੂੰ ਕਈ ਵਾਰੀ ਗੋਰਿਆਂ ਨੇ ਪੁੱਛਿਆ back in the day, what's the orange colour represent? ਫਿਰ ਅਸੀਂ ਦੱਸੀਦਾ ਪਿਆ ਅਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਤੋਂ ਇਸ ਕੇਸ ਰੰਗ ਦਾ ਇਹ ਮਤਲਬ ਆ, and it intrigues people. ਉੱਥੇ ਹਰੇਕ ਧਰਮਾਂ ਦੇ ਲੋਕ ਆਉਣੇ ਆ, ਪਲੀਜ਼ ਰਿਸਪੈਕਟ them, ਪਿਆਰ ਦਿਖਾਓ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਵੀ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਹੋਵੇ। ਇੱਦਾਂ ਨਾ ਲੱਗੇ ਪਏ ਅਸੀਂ ਟੈਰਰਿਸਟ ਹਾਂ। ਅਗੇਨ ਲਾਈਕ ਭੈਣ ਜੀ ਨੇ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਕੱਲ੍ਹ ਨੂੰ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ the rally in London. Again, ਗੁੱਸੇ ਗਿਲੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਸ਼ਿਕਵੇ ਬਾਹਰ ਛੱਡ ਕੇ concentrate on what's right, concentrate on what's such, and the such is that we got a beautiful religion here, and you know what, we're not being treated the way we should, like every other human is being treated. That's what the crux of it, really.
I think Bhai Sahib's message to the Sangat as well was whatever he's decided for himself, that's his choice, that's his right, and he's done it. But his message to us as Sat Sangat is to unite. That is his only message. He's not saying appeal for me. He's not saying, do something radical either. All he's wanting us to do is unite. And that's all we need to do. I think Southall Nagar Kirtan is probably the best opportunity in the UK.
And ਅਸੀਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇਨਵੀਟੇਸ਼ਨ ਕਰਨੀ ਕੱਲੇ ਸਾਊਥ ਚ ਨਹੀਂ, ਗ੍ਰੇਵਜ਼ਐਂਡ, ਬਰਮਿੰਗਮ, Coventry, ਜਿੱਥੋਂ ਵੀ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਹੈਗੇ, ਜੇ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਿੱਖ ਧਰਮ ਦੇ ਹੈਗੇ ਆ, ਜੇ ਤੁਹਾਡੇ ਦਿਲ ਸਿੱਖੀ ਹੈਗੀ ਆ, ਸਾਰੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਵੋ, ਸਾਰੇ ਇੱਕ ਜਗ੍ਹਾ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੋਵੋ। ਆਈ ਮੀਨ ਮੈਂ ਈਦ ਦੇ ਟਾਈਮ 'ਤੇ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਸਾਡੇ ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਭਰਾ ਸਾਰੇ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੀ ਕੋਚਾਂ ਹੁੰਦੀਆਂ ਬ੍ਰੈਡਫੋਰਡ ਤੱਕ ਤਾਂ ਆਉਂਦੀਆਂ ਕੋਚਾਂ, ਲੋਕ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ, ਇਕੱਠ ਮੱਠ ਹੁੰਦਾ, ਈਦ ਇਕੱਠੇ ਮਨਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ, ਉਹ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਦਿਖਾਉਂਦੇ ਆ। ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੰਨਾ ਵੀ ਨਹੀਂ ਹੈਗਾ ਵੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਭਾਈਚਾਰਾ ਦਿਖਾਈਏ। ਅਸੀਂ ਇਹ ਦੇਖੀ ਅਸੀਂ ਕੌਣ ਆ we should have this. Remember this, ਜਦੋਂ ਮਹਾਰਾਜ ਦੀ ਹਜ਼ੂਰੀ ਹਾਜ਼ਰ ਨਾਜ਼ਰ ਹੋਵੇ ਉਦੋਂ ਸਾਰੇ ਝਗੜੇ ਝਮੇਲੇ ਮੁੱਕ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਾਡੇ ਗੁਰੂ ਦੀ ਬਾਣੀ ਦਰਜ ਹੋ ਜਾਂਦੀ ਆ ਸੱਚੀ ਸੁੱਚੀ ਬਾਣੀ after that you can't challenge that ਬਾਣੀ ਉਹ ਬਾਣੀ ਸਭ ਤੋਂ ਉੱਤਮ ਚੀਜ਼ ਆ ਉਹ ਉਹਨੂੰ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਕੰਟਰੋਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਚਾਹੀਦਾ ਨਾ ਕਿ ਸਾਡੇ ਵਿਚਾਰਾਂ ਨੂੰ we need to understand this ਬਾਣੀ should control us, not our bad thoughts. I mean I might have conflict with everybody here, you might have a conflict in what I'm saying, but Bani teaches us to respect each other's opinions and respect each other as humans. So why aren't we doing this? It's a simple case, you know. At the end of the day, je tusi you know Amritsar kya thonu eh chaida pe tusi enna pyar wando lokan ch pe loki baki vi gursikh ban ਉਹ ਵੀ ਅਮਰ ਦੀ ਦਾਤ ਲੈਣ ਕਰਕੇ ਅਖੀਰ ਤੇ I'm saying this maybe it's a bit contradictory ਪਰ eventually ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਰਿਆਂ ਨੂੰ ਇਹ ਹੁਕਮ ਆ at the end ਇੱਕ ਦਿਨ ਇਹ ਹੁਕਮ ਪੂਰਾ ਕਰਨਾ ਪੈਣਾ ਜੇ ਨਹੀਂ ਜੀਵਨ ਵੇਸਟਡ ਗਿਆ plain and simple. At the end of the day, let's start with taking one step at a time. Let's get Ekta first. Let's get our Qawm on the map, because we are one of the most modern day religions. And you know the Jews have got more recognition than us, which is ridiculous. ਅਸੀਂ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਲੂ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਿੰਘ ਜਿੱਥੇ ਆਲੂ ਉੱਥੇ ਸਿੱਖ ਬਸਦਾ ਆ and at the night ਆਲੂ ਕਿਹੜੇ ਮੁਲਕ 'ਚ ਨਹੀਂ ਮਿਲਦਾ right? I mean I personally go out to France, Germany, and I've been to the Gurdwara there. So you know, and when they see you, they're just happy to see you. Why can't it be like this all the time? You know, why can't you walk down the street and you see your uncle ji, you can't put your two hands together and say sat sri akal uncle ji? Because you know what, let me tell you, ਮੁਸਲਮਾਨ ਭਰਾ ਦੇਖਦਾ ਉਹ ਹਰੇਕ ਬਜ਼ੁਰਗ ਨੂੰ ਸਲਾਮ ਕਰਕੇ ਜਾਂਦੇ ਆ ਭਾਵੇਂ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਨਾ ਜਾਣਦੇ ਕਾਲੇ ਸਮਾਲੀਅਨ ਵੀ ਹੁੰਦੇ ਆ ਉਹ ਵੀ ਇੱਕ ਦੂਜੇ ਨੂੰ ਸਲਾਮ ਕਰਦੇ ਆ ਸਾਡੀ ਸਤਿ ਸ੍ਰੀ ਅਕਾਲ ਨੂੰ ਕੀ ਹੋ ਗਿਆ you know I think we should move forward, you know, as a religion. There's so much to do, and we should learn from this qurbani that Rajoana Sahib is going to give. It's a big major thing. And again, like I said, you may not think it's right that he's going to go on Fancy. It's his choice. But the other thing is, we must fight for the future. We don't want Singhs going on Fancy every single time they stand up for their rights. Because that's what these brothers did. They are not terrorists. They stood up for their right. They stood up for their brethren. They stood up for people. The bache, mama, pra, bujurg, ਜਿਹੜੇ ਬਗੈਰ ਕਿਸੇ ਮਦਦ ਤੋਂ ਮਾਰੇ ਗਏ ਸੀਗੇ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਲਈ ਉਹਨੇ ਖੜੇ ਆ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਉਸ ਚੀਜ਼ ਦੀ they went ahead and they took justice basically.
I think one of the main reasons that pushed Bhai Sahib to do what he did was the fact that he couldn't take it anymore. It's like we all say we're brothers and sisters, but we don't have that dard and pyar for each other. He did. He saw his brothers dying every day in thousands, and he couldn't take it anymore. He didn't want that to happen. It's not advocating violence in any way whatsoever, but if someone's going to come and attack your brother or your father, as a last resort, you are going to resort to violence. And that's what he had to do. So it's one of those things. Is it a crime? Is it really a crime? I think Benji's got something to say.
I think a big point that we should emphasise as well is that after the assassination of the Chief Minister, a lot of the atrocities decreased. I mean, we're talking about thousands of people who are being disappeared, being picked up, raped, tortured. It's all after the killing of this man. It went down. I mean, the illegal detention carries on now. Even up until now, it's still happening. But it's not. It wasn't so much. It's not so much in the open anymore. So I think that it's not. It wasn't a case of a terrorist attack just for the fun of it or killing innocent people. This man was responsible for the killing of thousands of innocent people, and it was like assassinating Hitler. It had to be done, otherwise it would just carried on.
I think, Baisab, if you were to just put it in perspective, in the sense that there's been a lot of other internationally known freedom fighters who have been in maybe the similar situation on a wider scale, maybe, just so people that are watching that are non-Sikhs, they could understand where we're coming from.
If your question is about whether it's just to use violence to deal with a force that is oppressing your people brutally and is not allowing you as a nation to progress, then there are numerous history examples throughout history where this has happened. I mean, if we look at this country where we live in Britain, we have a parliamentary democracy. That was only possible by the civil war that took place between the parliamentarians and the monarchy, people that supported the monarchy. And that resulted in, I don't know how many thousands of deaths. We see the same thing in America. It's one of the most modern nations on the planet. They achieved independence through fighting a brutal civil war with the British. We see the same in Syria. We see the same in Libya. We see the same in the Falklands Islands, where the international community has stepped in. Well, not so much in Syria, but especially in Libya and in the Falkland Islands and in Egypt, Iraq, Iran, where they're talking about now as well, where the international community has stepped in because of a perceived dictator, because of somebody who was oppressing people, responsible for thousands of civilian deaths, tortures. Saddam Hussein's regime was brutal. There was military intervention to end his oppression. If we look at the assassination of Osama bin Laden, that was conducted by the American government. They went outside the rule of law. They could have brought him to trial. They could have explored any number of options available to them as one of the most resource-rich and powerful nations on the planet. Yet they chose to go into Pakistan in the middle of the night and kill the guy. And simply, that's what they did. They sent special forces units which are trained to kill people, trained to assassinate people, trained to infiltrate locations, and that's what they did. They took out a person who's causing difficulties for them in the region. They did so because it was a sovereign decision of their country. And we've got to understand that as a community and as a nation, the issue here, why is Balwant Singh opposing the Indian legal system? Why is he not accepting, why is he saying that I want death? I mean, it's strange to call for death, but he sees no justice in the Indian legal system. That's what he sees. There's no justice for him. This is the only justice. And as you've said, that it's our duty as a nation to support his call for justice, because that's why he's accepting death, because there is no justice.
I think we haven't got much time now, and the main point is we need to stand against injustice. That's the main thing. And there's a few events that are coming up. I'm just going to go through them in order that they're coming up. So tomorrow we've got the protest outside the Indian High Commission. It's a youth protest. Everything's going to be in English, just to educate the rest of the country. And then we also have on Saturday in Coventry, Guru Nanak Prakash Gurdwara, it's a youth conference. It's a youth conference. So and people that are going to be attending, they need to get registered. So it is what it is, youth conference. So it's no Jathebandiya, no Gurdwara committees. It's just for the youth. We're not discriminating in any way. It's just youth need to do their bit just to get their voice heard. And then on Sunday we've got South Nagar Kirtan, where we know 60,000 people are going to be attending. That Nagar Kirtan is basically going to be dedicated to Pai Sahib. That we need to show the wider world that Nagar Kirtan is actually a protest, and there's going to be placards, stickers, literature given out throughout the Nagar Kirtan. It's going to be visibly, it's going to be visible to the wider world why people are there, and we need to make sure that we made this a massive impact. So it's an appeal to the rest of the UK, and even if people can come from Europe, India, if you can make it, come. Let's get together. If we're saying get together everywhere. Let's just come there. And if we can show that unity, we're doing Pai Sahib, we're doing what Pai Sahib wants us to do. And then once we're doing what he wants us to do, hopefully we'll be able to go forward.
Just a quick thing, these flyers and leaflets that are being given out, बहुत मेहनत ना लोगों ने time like करता, and just please make sure you take the literature. It's really important that you give those kids a chance to read that literature.
On that note, I think the main message is just make sure everybody attends Nagar Kirtan in Southall. I don't need to give any details. Everybody knows where in Southall Nagar Kirtan happens. So I think we'll see you next time. So Vaheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji Ki Fateh.